Have you ever come across an unusual or fascinating patient case and thought, this could be published? Writing a case report can be one of the easiest ways to start your publishing journey. But not all case reports make it to the finish line. And really, not all are worth writing in the first place. In this video, I'm going to share the secrets to writing case reports that actually get accepted. Whether it's your first time or you're looking to improve, this guide will save you time and increase your chances of success. So let's dive in. Number one, you need to pick the right case. The secret to a great case report is choosing the right case. Not every case you come across is going to be worth writing about. And journals are looking for cases that stand out and teach something valuable. So, how do you know if your case is worth it? Here's what to look for: unusual presentations. Consider cases where a condition presents in an unexpected way. This might involve a rare disease with atypical symptoms or a common disease appearing in an unexpected patient population. These cases are compelling because they challenge existing clinical assumptions and broaden diagnostic frameworks. Next one, diagnostic challenges. Was this a case that required extensive problem solving to reach a diagnosis? Cases that highlight complex diagnostic pathways, such as those involving multiple tests, differential diagnosis, and critical reasoning, are highly educational and valued for the ability to teach clinicians how to navigate uncertainty. The next one, treatment challenges. Did the case involve a situation where standard treatment failed and now requiring a novel or unconventional approach? These cases are particularly impactful because they demonstrate real-world problem solving and may provide insights into alternative management strategies. Next one, cases that suggest new pathophysiology. Does the case suggest an expansion of our understanding of a disease mechanism? For example, a previously unrecognized association between symptom, lab findings, or outcomes can stimulate new research and advance the field. Cases that contribute to pathophysiological knowledge are especially impactful. A strong case must have a concrete learning point. Ask yourself, what will clinicians or researchers gain from reading this case report? Will it improve diagnostic accuracy, provide insight into management, or address a gap in current knowledge? If your case offers a meaningful takeaway, then it's likely worth pursuing. Secret number two, beware of weak cases. Now, we talk about cases that are good, but what about cases that are just not suitable? Choosing the wrong one can waste your time and effort. And so here are some common pitfalls to avoid. The first type, cases that involve finger pointing. Avoid writing cases that highlight substandard care. These just do not reflect on your institution, your team, or even you. The next type, new to you cases. Just because a case is new or exciting to you doesn't mean that it's new to the field. Always conduct a thorough literature review to ensure that that case has not been published. Also, speak to your attending or consultant to check. Another type of studies, potential misdiagnosis. If your case revolves around a diagnosis that might not even be accurate, what's the point of you publishing it? The next type, those that lack clinical details. Do not submit cases that feel like a mystery simply because you did not gather enough data. Often, these could have been solved with basic additional tests. So always vet your case with a mentor or colleague who has expertise in the field. A second opinion can really save you from wasting time.
I know conducting a research project is an overwhelming process, so I made the idea to paper blueprint for you. This blueprint takes you through a 7-step process from the idea generation phase to the paper submission phase. Plus, you'll get my free 5-day email course, Jumpstart Your Academic Writing. We will cover mindset, key writing tips, how do you beat writer's block, and more. So click on the link in the description below.
Secret number three, gather sufficient evidence. Here's something most people don't realize. The writing process for your case report actually begins while the patient's in the hospital. Why? Because this is your chance to collect all the necessary evidence to make your case report complete and convincing. In clinical medicine, we often work with assumptions. We suspect certain conditions based on clinical signs, but we don't always order the test to confirm or rule them out. While that might be acceptable for patient care in some situations, it does not work for a case report. When you're writing a case report, you need to go beyond assumptions. Make sure you have everything you need to back up your conclusion. And that includes lab results, imaging studies, pathology reports like biopsies or special stains, any relevant clinical photographs if applicable. Ask yourself, is there anything about this case that a reviewer might question? And what additional tests or evidence would make the findings more robust? If you need to go back and order more studies or imaging, do it while the patient is still in your care. Because once they're discharged, it just becomes really much harder to fill in those gaps. Now, let me be clear, I'm not suggesting that you order unnecessary tests purely for the sake of a publication. Any additional tests, any additional studies must still be clinical justifiable and aligned with good patient care. And don't forget details such as timeline, symptoms, responses to treatment, and follow-up. These elements are critical for painting a full picture of the case. The more evidence you collect upfront, the stronger your case report will be. Secret number 4, handle the regulatory side properly. Before you even think about submitting your case report, make sure you've covered all the regulatory bases. Journals are really strict about ethical guidelines, and skipping this step can lead to outright rejection, or worse, reputational issues. So here's what you need to know. Institutional Review Board or ethics approval. For most case reports involving fewer than 3 patients, IRB or ethics approval isn't typically required. However, every institution has its own rules, so it's important to check with your local ethics committee. If your case involves anything beyond routine care, for example, an experimental treatment or something, ethics approval might still be necessary, even just for a single case. Think about informed consent. This is a non-negotiable step if your case report includes any identifier patient information such as clinical photographs, imaging, or specific demographic details that could reveal the patient's identity. Even if your patient's face isn't shown, journals may still require consent if the details of the cases are unique enough to potentially identify the patient. So always err on the side of caution and obtain signed consent. If you're unsure whether consent is needed, it's best to get it anyway. Anonymizing data. Be meticulous about removing any unnecessary identifying details from the case, such as patient names, birth dates, or hospital identifiers. Some journals will flag even minor oversight, so make sure you double check everything. Focus on what's clinically relevant. If you're collaborating with colleagues or submitting a case from a multi-institutional setting, make sure everyone involved is aware of the publication. Some institutions require internal approval before any case can be submitted to a journal. Secret number 5, conduct a proper literature review. A great case report isn't just a description of your patient, it's a focused literature review that puts your case in context. Journals want to know not only what happened in your case, but also how it fits into the broader understanding of the condition. And this means your literature review is just as important as the case itself. Here's how to do it. Start early. Your literature review should begin while you're still managing the patient. This gives you time to explore similar cases, understand existing knowledge, and identify gaps your cases might address. By starting early, you'll also get a sense of what tests or data might be needed to make your case stand out. Next, search strategically. Don't just skim abstracts, make sure you read and process each paper. Use tools like PubMed, Google Scholar, and specialty-specific databases to find similar cases. Start with keywords. Use terms related to patient's diagnosis, symptoms, and unique findings. Then you want to refine your search. Narrow down to focus on cases with similar presentation, diagnostic challenges, or treatments. And then track key references. If you find a landmark paper, look at the references and articles that have cited it. This can lead you to additional relevant studies. Next, understand the context. A case report isn't just about saying, here's what happened. It's about showing how your case adds to the existing body of knowledge. Ask yourself, how does this case compare to others in the literature? Does it highlight a gap or contradiction in current understanding? Does it suggest a new approach or insight? Your literature review should highlight why your case matters and what makes it unique. If similar cases have already been published, acknowledge them and explain how your case adds something new, whether it's a different presentation, outcome, or clinical insight. Use literature review to strengthen your case. Your review can also guide how you write your case report. For example, if other cases lack specific details, highlight those in your report. If prior reports use a particular diagnostic tool, emphasize how your case confirms or challenges its utility. If your case aligns with a new trend in treatment, show how it supports the evidence. And so by tying your case to the literature, You're showing that it's not just an isolated story, but part of a larger clinical or scientific conversation. Secret number 6, writing your case report. Writing a case report is more than just documenting a patient's story. It's about presenting it in a way that's clear, engaging, and impactful. A well-written case report should teach the reader something valuable. Here's how to approach the writing process step by step. Start with a compelling title. Your title is the first thing readers and reviewers see, so make it count. It should clearly convey the essence of your case while catching the reader's attention. I tend to say clear, not cute. A good case report title usually includes the condition or challenge the case addresses, an intriguing aspect such as a rare presentation or unique outcome, or the educational or clinical value. For example, an unusual presentation of TB mimicking lung cancer in a non-smoker, or successful management of refractory hypertension in a patient with rare primary aldosteronism. Keep it concise but informative. Next, write a strong abstract. Many readers will decide whether to continue based on your abstract alone, so make it clear and engaging. Summarize the key elements of the case, the reason the case is significant, the patient's presentation and key findings, the main intervention and outcomes, and the take-home message or clinical implications. Stick to the word limit specified by journal. Typically, it's around 200 to 300 words. Next, structure the actual manuscript itself. Most case reports follow the standard structure, which is the introduction, the case, and the discussion. So the introduction section, begin with a brief explanation of why the case is important, highlight the learning point upfront, and provide just enough context to set the stage. Don't overload it with background information here. Then the actual case presentation part. Clearly and chronologically describe the patient's history, symptoms, and clinical findings. That will include key diagnostic steps like labs, imaging, biopsy, and a result, and provide the detail on the treatment and the patient's response. Avoid unnecessary details unless they directly contribute to the learning point. I like to use subheadings like history, physical examination, investigations, and treatment course to make this section easy to read. And finally, the discussion section. This is where you tie the cases to the literature, compare and contrast it with similar cases or studies. Highlight what makes your case unique and why it adds value to the field. And also discuss the implications of the case for clinical practice, research, or education, and then end with a concise summary of the learning point. One thing is really important when writing. Focus on clarity and precision. Remember, your audience includes clinicians and researchers who do not really have time to sift through vague or poorly organized information. So be detailed, but also be concise. Use clear language and avoid jargon unless absolutely necessary. Before submitting your case report, spend time revising and editing it. One tip, read aloud. Hearing your report helps catch awkward phrasing or also missing details. Get feedback. Ask a mentor, colleague, or experienced writer to review your draft because they can offer insights on clarity, relevance, and also overall impact. Finally, double check the journal submission guidelines for formatting, word limits, and requires. Secret number 7, finding the right journal. A great case report can still be rejected if it's submitted to the wrong journal. Here's how to choose wisely. Look for journals that have case report in the title. And these are just designed to publish cases and are more likely to accept your work. One thing I would say, be prepared to pay for article processing fees. Many case report journals charge these fees, so factor that into your planning. Next, specialty journals. These are the journals of your field. They are typically higher impact, so they only have 1 to 2 slots for cases. And they may come in different names and categories, such as cases, medical imaging, or quizzes. Submitting to the right journal not only improves your chances of acceptance, but also ensures that your report reaches the right audience. So case reports are one of the best ways to start your academic publishing journey. And they're straightforward to write, but they require careful selection, thorough literature review, and clear presentation. To learn more about academic writing, click here for the next video.